y'all have had a lot of training sessions together. You've taken a lot from him. You probably know him a lot better than I do as far as from a training aspect. And obviously, what are some things you can say about Khabib? And then what would you say separates him the most? Like if you had one thing to say that separates him the most from every other fighter that could lead to kind of why he's had the success that he's had, what would you say that is?
See, I love Khabib, and see, he's crazy because he's one of those guys that trains every single day in
Yeah,
fight
of course.
week. Like he'll grapple in the morning and run at night. Like on fight week, grapple in the morning, run at night, all the way up to Thursday, and then he does his weight cutting, cuts a crazy amount of weight, and then he's 29-0 and just dominates everyone. So I don't know, maybe I don't know, but he's a solid guy and just a mentally strong human being, and he's a guy that never changed from the first time I met him. And no one really, I mean, they knew him, but he wasn't the star he is today. And like, he was just kind of on the come up. I think it was like right after he beat RDA, and like, he started like becoming like, oh, who's this guy? Like, who's Khabib? And like, he was still like this young, humble kid from Dagestan. And I got to kind of be around him in some of his camps, and all the way up to when he won the title against Ally Aquina. And then when he fought Conor, when he fought Dustin Poirier, like Justin Gaethje, like all those fights, I got to kind of be around him. And no matter how much money or fame this guy got, like he always remained the same. And I think that's super important too, because it's easy to let the fame and the stardom and the money and like the attraction kind of get to your head. And then you start thinking you're bigger than you really are. And that's something he never did. So, and there's something I guess I take away from him, just kind of being around him and like being around other champions as well, and like seeing how, the guys like Kamaru Usman's and Henry Cejudo's, and Cejudo's a little crazy, but you know what I mean. These guys, like they're humble. They're humble kids, and you get the belt, but you got to kind of remain that way. And I think that will take you farther than the McGregor route. The McGregor made a lot of money, and I can't hate on him, but it's also been his downfall, and he hasn't looked so great in his last 4 or 5 fights. So I mean, against Cerrone, he did all right, but you know what I mean?
Your legacy means a lot to certain people, you know what I mean? And like, obviously the legacy of Khabib and the legacy of Conor is slightly different, and what they're going to be remembered for outside of the octagon. But then again, you got Conor being on the Forbes list #1. So it's like, it's a trade-off, I guess. You can sell your soul kind of, I guess you can say. And it's what's important to you. So what would you say would be the one thing, if you had to narrow it down, that made Khabib so flawless throughout his whole career? I mean, he's shown up sick before. He's shown up injured before. We know what happened in Abu Dhabi before the Gaethje fight. We all know now. We didn't, it wasn't known before, but all the stuff he went through and the lack of training and the injuries and all that kind of stuff. What do you think it is that got him through all those fights flawlessly the most, like the most important thing that he has that really kind of like leveled out everything, no matter what he faced, what adversary he faced before each of those fights? He still came out ahead and he still looked good every single time. Is it just that mindset, you think?
It is the mindset, and it's just, he's a workhorse, like I guarantee even today, even though he's retired, he trains every single day, and I don't think the guy's ever missed a day of training. Like, he will show up to the gym every single day, and he's humble, and he works, and he shows up early, and he stays after practice, and he stretches, and he does extra, and he does push-ups after practice, and does crunches after practice, and he gets everyone involved. Like, he's developed that, like, he's like a leader, and like, because he's a leader, he has to hold himself accountable and for the younger guys. And I think that's what kind of made him successful, because he has to be the guy that shows up early. He has to be the guy that never misses a practice, because he's got future generations looking up to him that want to be the future Khabibs. There's tons of Khabibs out there, like there really is. And like these kids from Dagestan and that literally just come from nothing, like they're killers, dude. They really are. And I think it's his work ethic and just the accountability that's what made him great.
I think you're right, man. And I'm very fortunate to be a member, like a founding member of AK, and been there since the beginning. So I've seen so many of these guys come in, like Khabib and Kane and DC and a lot of these Luke, all these guys come in from day one and then turn into these huge stars. And I got to see that progress, and it's cool looking back, seeing every step of the way. And like Khabib came in, and it was like he came in from Dagestan, didn't have anything, and him and his family and his friends that he trained with were all staying in the hotel behind the gym. And they just showed up for training. They had nothing, man. They were just showing up every day. And it's the same Khabib when you talk to him now as that you talked to him then, except he's just a superstar. He's the most famous Russian dialect guy on the planet, and definitely athlete. And it's cool to see that, man. And it means a lot, to have been there for that.